All right, folks, so here we go. Keaton's in the kitchen. It's just me. Sarah's at yoga, but she is going to be a happy camper when she gets back. The Keaton in the kitchen knife. See that? Anyway, last week I broke the internet when I announced that I was going to create the world's greatest sandwich. I'm going to spend a few weeks this summer. I'm going to create the world's greatest sandwich. Now, breaking the internet's a little different out here in the country than it is like when the Kardashians or something do it, because the internet breaks out here a lot. So maybe I just broke our internet. Anyway, the criteria that I was using for the world's greatest sandwich, it has to be on regular bread, and it has to have tomatoes, fresh tomatoes, because it's summertime, and the world's greatest sandwich is going to have the world's greatest veggie/fruit, according to where you stand on that. I guess it is a fruit. But anyway, so last week I did that Whacker Packer sandwich that had the panko breaded zucchini. It had the buldak beef with the Korean sauce on it. It was incredible. Today, I am seriously breaking everything. This might be the last installment because this might be the world's greatest sandwich. This is sort of like Oppenheimer. You know, the big Oppenheimer thing's going on right now. And they had a bunch of parts, but they didn't know if it was going to blow up. I got a bunch of pieces here because I created this sandwich in my brain, but I don't know if it's going to blow up or if it's going to be awesome. But let's give this a run. I think we're on the precipice of the world's greatest sandwich. I lightly toasted the bread ahead of time. And that's because you're going to see in a minute when I cook this sandwich, I don't want to cook it so long that the bread burns, but I want the inside to get hot. If you're making the old, like think of an old school grilled cheese with a slice or two of American cheese, you can have that skillet absolutely just as red hot as can be because that cheese is so thin, it transfers the heat right into it. It melts, your kids love it, you slice it, you go. If you're going to make more of a gourmet type sandwich that's thicker, that bread really needs to be toasted because the inside of it's not going to get done. And so you're going to not transfer enough heat before the outside of your bread burns. So I did lightly toast it. I do have some zucchini frying over here. It's in our fried dredge. It's pork cubes and a fried dredge. It's phenomenal. That's out the door. Let's get to this. I've got a couple of Cherokee purple tomatoes. Now these are a little bit rough. They were out in the garden for a little bit long, but they're perfect for sandwiches, especially something like this where you're not necessarily going to see them. So what I'm going to do is, just for posterity's sake, I'm just going to cut some thin slices off this because when I'm doing sandwiches, I want the slices to be thin because I don't want this thing to be so thick that you got to smash everything to get to it. Let me make sure this is good. That's nice. So I got a couple of these. Ooh, that's nice. I will eat the rest of that later. I'm just slicing these into some really thin slices. Just so that when I layer this sucker, it is good and flat. Because you're not going to believe what my little brain came up with. So here we go. We got our tomatoes. Next, garlic and some softened butter. This is about 2 cloves of garlic, 4 tablespoons of butter. You know what I should have done? I'm just mixing that up, softened butter and garlic. Should turn my skillet on. Now again, I'm not going to turn this skillet on super high simply because I don't want this to burn. Let me get these dropped. I don't want this to burn while I'm trying to get the outside or the inside of it warmed up. All I'm going to do is put a few of these in here because otherwise I'm going to be way behind schedule when Sarah gets home. These are pork cubes, which are chicharrones, or pork rinds, ground up, mixed with seasoned flour, and that's our fried dredge, and it is absolutely incredible. You need to try that. They sell them already ground up as pork cubes. It makes a great little side dish. You can use it on anything that you're frying. All right, so here we go. To make the world's greatest sandwich, part 2. Last week's Whacker Packer was fantastic. Let's see if we can beat it. I've got my lightly toasted bread, my butter, and my garlic. I'm hitting this just the outside of this with the butter and garlic. And it is going to get messy because I'm going to have to hold that. in just a minute because I don't want it on both sides. Garlic and butter. Now, what I have here, and I just came up with this, so who knows, maybe this is not the greatest combo. Queso, white queso cheese. This is not hot like you would eat queso if you were at a Mexican place because I need it to be thick. I want it to hold together while this sandwich is cooking. Sharp cheddar. I'm doing, that's probably a quarter of a cup of each, let's say. Maybe not quite. White queso and cheddar. Now what I also have is some sliced Gouda. I love Gouda for melting on sandwiches, and that's what's going to make this sandwich great. And again, I've just got white bread. The two criteria, I think I already said, was the bread has to be regular bread. This is not one of these, oh, this certain ciabatta or this sourdough. This is a common man's greatest sandwich ever. So I got my light bread. I've got it turned over here. I put my garlic and my butter on the outside of it. I'm taking my queso mixture. I've never done this before. This may be complete abject failure, and you may never even see this video because I may get rid of it if this doesn't work. But I got my queso and my cheddar. Then I've got my tomatoes sliced thin. I'm gonna pack these onto here. So I got a nice layer of tomatoes. Boy, Sarah might be in for something tonight. Then again, she may not be. So I got my tomatoes. Now, what's taking this over the top is that I barbecued some shrimp. These are bacon wrapped barbecued shrimp. I did not show that stage because it's bacon wrapped around shrimp with barbecue sauce on the grill. You probably didn't want to see that, and if you did, I'm sorry. Because that's what you got when you do this. I am going to slap some of these babies on here like this. This is good. I've got a feeling this is going to be good. So I got me a couple of slices of Gouda. I went 2 right there, mainly because I didn't want to peel those away. Then I take my top garlic bread, and that, folks, is going to be my sandwich. I got my skillet a little too hot. You see it's smoking. It's probably a little hotter than what I wanted. I did not need to butter that skillet because I got the butter on my bread. That skillet, you can see all the smoke, I'm sure, rolling off of it, is going to be a little too hot. But let's take a look at this bad boy. Oh, look at those barbecue bacon wrapped shrimp, all the cheese. I got the zucchini with the pork cubes. Now, this is not going to take very long. I better set this back over here. It's not going to take very long before I have to flip this. So get my flipper somewhere. Better turn over my zucchinis real quick. And then we're going to see how this sandwich turns out. World's greatest sandwich. Last week was a Whacker Packer. This week is the barbecue mammy. The barbecue shrimp mammy. Gotta have a good name, right? Okay, so I got those all flipped. I give them a little of this. I do need a plate for those real quick with a little bit of this. Let me flip my sandwich. Now this is not going to be easy. What do I do with my flipper? This is not going to be easy to do. I don't think. Oh, wow. 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 That's awesome. My queso melted. My cheddar melted. You can see I overcooked that slightly, but look at how that's all melted in there. There's my Gouda getting happy down there. My tomatoes. The shrimp are trying to escape out the back door. Let me turn this around. I don't even know which way I'm looking. I'm all jacked up right now. He's all jacked up on barbecue shrimp mammy. All right, let me see. Get a plate. Queso and cheddar. Don't necessarily want to cook that, overly cook it. Get my cheese good and melty. And this right here might very well be, let me pull these and then you're going to get to see it. This might be the absolute world's greatest sandwich. It's part 2 of the series. It might end at 2. Then again, it might end at 1 and you never ever see this video. I'll drop all my other after I get my sandwich out. I want it to cook just 1 minute longer. Got my little pigtail food flipper out here. Perfect for grabbing these zucchinis. Alright, I'll just let that go for a second. Here we go. I'm going to get my sandwich out. Turn my heat way down. I'm going to put my sandwich on here. Let me move some of this stuff. Let me come around here. Make sure you can see my sandwich. I'm going to zoom this bad boy in right here. That top did get a little bit overcooked. That's what I'm talking about with your skillet being too hot. I got my knife here. Here we go. 3 different kinds of cheese, garlic toast, barbecued shrimp, fresh tomatoes. Oh, look at that bad boy right there. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. All right, here we go. First ever, just created it. First ever bite. It's probably super hot, but oh my God. Honestly, I may be quitting right there. Pretty awesome. Fresh tomatoes, garlic toast, 3 kinds of cheese, including queso, toasted up like you would a grilled cheese. That is amazing. Look at that coming out the back. Oh, Mama's gonna be happy when she gets home in just a few. There you go, world's greatest sandwich, part 2.